All right, and here we are.
Hi guys.
What is up, everybody? I am back after, well, I guess it's been 2 weeks. I haven't posted any podcasts because we have been,
Enjoying some really good vacation time,
yeah,
I guess you would say.
yeah. This is my friend Sasha.
Hey guys, what's up everybody?
We met in
5 years ago.
5 years ago. Jesus Christ.
It's been such a long time.
Um, so I was an exchange student. I went to Germany first, for 2 weeks.
Yeah, I think it was like back in April 2014, something like that.
It had to have been 2016, I think. It had to have been after 2014, I think.
No, it's been 2014.
Was
I
it
remember.
2014?
Yeah. In October we've been here, I think.
Okay.
2014. Anyway.
That's so. Um, we became really good friends very quickly.
Guess they were just like the perfect fit, perfect match.
It's funny because, like, I remember I was so worried because we didn't talk at all before the fucking exchange, and I knew nothing about you. Besides, like, all you wrote on your thing was "I play soccer."
That sounds basically like something I would write at this time.
And I was like, I have no idea what I'm walking into. Like, and all the girls were like, it was mostly girls that went on the trip, and all of them were like sending selfies back and forth with their partners and
I
shit.
remember that. Yeah, they were like going crazy.
And
Super excited.
and we never talked. And then
But I have to tell you. I think I'm not even sure if you're aware of that. Like, do you remember before the exchange? I had another exchange. Like, we went to Spain.
yeah, yeah.
And I got this exchange student. His name was David. He was like the worst guy ever. He was so weird. Like, he couldn't. I was maybe a little bit frightened after him. So I was like trying to be careful getting in contact.
What
But
did
he
David
was like
do?
the kind of guy. He was like, I think maybe he actually had like a mental disorder. To be honest, it's maybe not even funny. But like, you,
We say as
I
we start laughing.
I remember one incident. We were just walking home from, I don't know, some kind of school event, and you had two empty bottles on his hand, and just randomly on the way back home, he was sitting down on that street, like on the middle of the way of the road, and he was just like starting to drum and sit down with his two bottles in his hand, and just punched them on the ground, like completely random. I think that kind of made me a little bit careful, I guess.
Didn't
you
he?
would say.
Didn't he throw them and do the Spider-Man crawl all like down the road?
I'm pretty sure he did that afterwards. Yeah.
He made, and they didn't really speak any
We couldn't
English or
speak any
German.
English, no. We couldn't talk at all. We were like talking with hands and feet, but not really understanding each other.
That's the biggest thing I think is a huge failure of the education system is how our inability to communicate with anybody that's not already English speaking.
Yeah, I see that.
I mean, like you're here and you're having a full conversation. You've traveled the world. You've had full conversations in Australia. You can go to England. You can can't.
I can consider myself lucky to be able to have seen these places, I guess.
I mean, I guess if you want to know a language, I guess the language you want to know is English. It goes the furthest.
Yeah, I mean, it's like the world language. Probably, I'm pretty sure it has like the most speakers.
It
actually.
has to.
Probably.
There's no way unless Mandarin just beats it in raw population, but I don't see
Yeah.
how that's possible. Because there's people in China that are pretty fluent in English too.
Yeah. I think I once saw like a meme about the world languages, and I think like from 100 people, like about 30 of them spoke. I think it was actually Mandarin,
Mhm.
like as their native tongue. Then Indian, I think, with like 27.
Because their populations are so high.
That's so high.
Like that's like we don't really consider the fact, especially in a country like even your country is so much more densely populated than most of the United States.
Definitely. Like in terms of square kilometers per inhabitant, it's like way more packed.
People just we take it for granted, and we don't know the full
I mean,
privilege of it.
Just look around. I mean, we're here in New Jersey. It's probably, I think, like the smallest state with the highest population.
Yeah,
like,
it's the
in
most
terms of
densely
the rate.
populated.
Densely populated, exactly. And now look around. Like, you still have like so much open space, and you're living in a small village.
Yeah,
Like,
no,
like at home, it would be completely different. Like, even though it's a small village, like the houses would be built like really next to each other, like
Mhm.
pretty packed. it's like way less bad.
I mean,
less space.
Yeah.
Also personal space on your property.
And if you go down south, it's even more ridiculous. And you can still buy land for remarkably cheap down there.
Yeah.
It's just because it's not very developed. Like, you're gonna drive a long distance to supermarkets. Like, what do you think the town in Germany has the greatest distance between the supermarket is?
Oh, that's a good question. That's probably like some with like at least 20 minutes. I remember. That sounds probably like really less for Americans.
Yeah, no. Like, my friend Danny, he goes to the supermarket like once a month because he lives up in Humboldt County, in the mountains.
Once a month.
Yeah,
Wow.
like I mean,
his car must be like packed. Bro.
Yeah, he said
like once a month.
He
wow.
said it was like a week. Like he just doesn't leave. He doesn't see anybody.
Yeah.
Like,
that's crazy.
And he's living like a mountain man. So that's the edge of society over there. But like.
See, I live in the big city in Frankfurt, in Germany, like where people go shopping basically every day. Like they're buying the food like just for one day, never really kind of store it.
See, I personally
people here would never do that probably.
I personally had never experienced like people just
buying for one meal.
Yeah, buying
constantly.
Yeah, except for like recently when we went to New York and we're hanging out with Nick, because New York definitely there would be no way in fuck I'd ever go grocery shop. I prefer that, to be honest. I hate cooking. I hate grocery shopping. I hate the whole nine. I'd rather spend a little extra money and not have to fucking deal with it.
True, that's true. I guess I feel the same in that way. Actually, I'm not sure if it's still the case nowadays, but I heard once a couple of times that it's cheaper in America to go like order food and dine in than to cook yourself, because like buying groceries is pretty expensive though.
It's a fine line. Yeah, you know, you went grocery shopping with us, so you know,
Yeah.
but it is like a very fine line between what's more valuable and what's not, I guess.
Yeah.
Like,
I guess if you really want to eat cheap, dining in McDonald's is always the case.
yeah, I mean, when
food possible.
When McDonald's is rock bottoming prices like that, you can buy a box of pasta for 99 cents, or you can buy a burger for 99 cents.
Yeah.
Like, there's really not comparing the amount of calories that you can consume for that. But that's like, it also has to do with our obesity epidemic in this country.
Oh yeah.
Like
That's
all
the
the
thing.
lowest income foods
It's
are
like just so unhealthy in terms of the nutrition. It's like just empty calories which make you fat.
There's a place in California that I heard was starting to do healthy fast food as like a gimmick. Like they were like
Fast,
like
kind of fresh fast food.
yeah, kind of like
That's
a McDonald's style food, but it's not gonna eat your heart in the process. Like
Okay.
like if you could speedy prepare like an avocado bagel.
Like what kind of meals do they have?
I only read one article
Probably
about
like
it.
salads and stuff.
It's gotta be, but the thing is,
Yeah.
things like that they cost a lot to produce.
Yeah, that's true.
Like it's not easier to kill a cow, but it is easier to produce
Yeah.
something like.
I think this fresh fast food thing is kind of becoming a thing also in Germany. Like
I imagine
every
you
time
do a
I'm
lot better
traveling
there.
by the train, I'm walking through the train stations, and there's so many stores like trying to sell their smoothies, the green, cool, healthy, fancy salads. They have like curry bowls and stuff everywhere.
Yeah, I saw that
They're
in
really
cities.
fancying around on there.
It's definitely not in small towns though,
Yeah.
and that's where a lot of the obesity really is in this country. I mean, I'm sure cities have their own obesity problems, but there are actual choices in meals in
Yeah.
cities.
I think you can probably really spot the difference between like where I've been, New York and LA, compared to like here the countryside.
Yeah, the most exotic restaurant around here is like fucking Olive Garden. So
or probably some Jamaican place.
it is that Jamaican place. There is that one Jamaican place, and there's that one Mexican restaurant too. God bless those people. But yeah, but like that is like a lot of American cuisine comes from our immigration actually.
Of course. Yeah.
Like
Well,
our immigrants, a lot of the immigrants come to this country with the goal of opening a restaurant, which are tremendously likely to fail in this country. Well, like I think it's 3 out of 10 new
That only
new
succeed.
restaurants. Yeah.
What?
Yeah,
Wow.
it's
Incredible.
it's
Think
the
about that.
yeah, it's the most likely to fail of any business ever. because
Do you know why that is?
they have the most competition. They open left and right. Restaurants are like a hit or miss kind of thing.
Yeah.
It either takes off in the beginning and you make some money back real quickly.
Yeah, if you got a slow start, I guess you pretty much settle already.
Yeah, and food is expensive,
Yeah.
and like most places aren't really high end or really low end. They're somewhere in the middle, and that like it's hard. It's hard to and then like let's say your goal is you want to make like a weird Game of Thrones restaurant. Like you don't know how that's gonna play out years down the line. That's why pop up bars and shit are becoming a big thing around here.
Like pop-up bars, like just like they're there for like a month and then
Yeah,
again.
yeah.
Yeah, I see why people like that. I mean, it's pretty much like the thrill of the short takes.
Yeah,
I guess.
It's just like an excuse to be like, oh, there's a Rick and Morty bar here. Let's go get fucking $30 shots.
But I mean, after like I don't know, after people went there once or twice, probably gets boring.
I imagine that's why they're probably pop-up bars. Like,
but at least if you like kind of stick with that business model, they're like always constantly in a move. So I guess for the owners, if it kind of works out, I guess it's pretty much a cool lifestyle, seeing all the new places constantly.
Someone once said to me, or no, it was a video I was watching.
Yeah.
And they said that the way to market to millennials is that they want to buy things that are effectively great pretext for really good Instagrams. So like,
so they can get better likes.
Or more and a good picture. Like if you can get them a picture of a banging looking shot, they'll go to that bar instead of the and like.
Actually, I once read an article about that. It's like how Instagram like destroys our taste for food. Like nowadays, because you're like constantly looking on Instagram, there's like so many people posting about their fancy food.
Mm-hmm.
You like only like you kind of start tasting with your eyes. Like,
yeah.
Like about that thrill you get when you see nice looking food, but actually it can taste like shit. And if you go like to really decent restaurant nowadays, they only try to produce like good looking food and don't really care about anymore about the taste. Just because of Instagram, basically. Just people post about it.
The girl in that episode of Black Mirror where she takes the picture of the cookie and the coffee and then she sips it and she like can't even swallow it. It's so bad. Like that's definitely some people's lives.
Yeah.
And like it's with that you see it more in like the ad community, like the higher up of Instagram. Like, but that's like all celebrities. You see, like fucking.
Yeah.
Do you think? I wonder how much vitamin water 50 Cent actually drinks out of just curiosity. Like,
probably none. You remember the end of Once Upon a Time in Hollywood when the Rick Darton, I think his name was, like he's making the advertisement for the cigarettes.
Yeah. And
like right after the cut is taken, he's just throwing the cigarette away.
Yeah.
I think probably like most of the celebrities do the same thing.
Yeah.
They're like fully convinced of what they're doing.
Exactly. I mean, it's one thing to like a brand and to support it and shit like that, but at what point is it like? That's why YouTube they made it so that you have to say that you're a paid ad.
Yeah.
You can't just fucking throw an ad in the middle of something without telling people about it anymore.
Actually, like. I think it was like 3 months ago. There was this case in Germany, a legal case, about this one influencer girl. She's like the girlfriend of a famous soccer player in Germany.
Alright.
And she posted probably some clothes or something about that, and she didn't tag it as advertisement. And the court ruled that it's impossible that she has like. I'm not even sure how many followers she has, probably like 1 million maybe.
Mm-hmm.
But it's impossible for a normal human being to have like 1 million friends. That's why she had to take it as an ad. She had to pay a big fine for that.
That's hilarious. But you seriously though, because it can be dangerous. Like, all right, I don't want to rat anybody out in this scenario, but there was a company that had a product that was definitely complete bullshit.
Yeah.
It was a product that was complete nonsense, and they offered me to promote it an amount of like regularly. Yeah. Regularly, weekly. And I looked at it and it was a sticker that was supposed to block radiation. Yeah, and I was like, this is the dumbest fucking thing I have ever seen. Like, they're really trying to pay me to help rob people.
Oh god.
And like
I'm glad he didn't accept the offer.
Yeah, I guess I have some moral background or something. Like, I don't know, but it definitely.
It's crazy what people try to make money out of.
And like it gets weirder when the person that's like endorsing it. So like let's say I make a product and I endorse I pay a celebrity to endorse it, and that product kills fucking 10 people. Like now that celebrity is like tied to that product, and
I mean,
like
take only like the advertisement people. I think some cigarette company, maybe Marlboro.
Marlboro probably.
I think it was probably Marlboro.
They
like all of the spokespersons, advertisers,
Marlboro.
all died like within I don't know like 15 years maybe. I think it was all related to lung cancer in most of the cases.
Yeah,
it's crazy. Like you're advertising for the product which brings your own death.
Absolutely, and
it's kind of ironic. I guess.
You see it in like, I don't know. Sometimes it's really ironic when like a musician talks about drugs and overdosing and dying all the time, and then they overdose and die.
Like Mac Miller did, for instance.
Yeah, like Mac. Did he know? Did he see a problem? Did he not address it? Like
maybe he had a dream about it once.
Sometimes, yeah. Well, with writing and art, like you do a lot of like introspection, I think, and things will come out of you subconsciously, and someone will point things out to you that you didn't see. Like someone will be like, "Yo, you killed that guy like exactly how your dad died," and it's like,
and out of nowhere the curtain falls.
Yeah, it's like, oh shit, yeah, I did. Like
you realize.
Yeah, or like you. What's the word? You put yourself into other things.
Yeah.
You project. That's the word. You project.
Yeah.
Yep. That's yep. You project. And you don't really see it. And like I saw a guy that paints. He does collages actually, like really big collages on walls.
Okay.
And that's actually where I got that idea from, because he like in the collage there was a guy falling off a building, and his dad died falling off a building. And like
so he's always like trying to like repicture the situation.
Someone pointed it out to him, and he was like, "Oh wow, like
It's crazy what the subconscious can do with you.
Yeah,
you realize
subconscious is a creepy, trippy thing, man. It is some shit. It is probably the source of imagination. I think the subconscious is like, I think we have our subconscious like attached to us, and we filter it out.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's hard to word.
It definitely is. It's like, it makes you wonder what kind of is possible just like with your mind. I'm not sure how to say that.
Yeah. What do you mean? What's possible with your mind? Such as
I'm
like
missing the word.
What can it do? Like, is it all
like what's possible just like throughout the imagination? I mean at some point you must come up with your thought, and at some point it kind of becomes reality.
At some point
it's crazy what kind of process all of that is.
Yeah, at what point
it makes you think like if there's something like destiny. I mean, just take Mac for instance. Like he was always rapping about it. Like if he had this clear picture of himself, maybe, and it just became reality.
Yeah, no, it's definitely possible. I think the way that you look at yourself is definitely something you can't help.
Yeah.
Like, your self-image is definitely probably not something you're gonna be able to form yourself. You can work on it.
Yeah.
And possibly, but like, if you hate certain things about yourself, the only thing that's gonna happen is you have to get rid of those fucking things, or you hate yourself. Like that's really what it is people identify with things that aren't them a lot of the time.
Yeah, people are just confused, I guess, by all of the influences that's coming on them, like through social media.
Yeah, you identify as like a drug addict or like something like that, for example.
Yeah.
And you stop seeing yourself sometimes the way that other people see you. Like, you see it a lot with celebrities. Like, they're loved and admired by so many people.
And at the same time, they kind of hate themselves.
They absolutely, they hate themselves more than they hate almost everybody else. And they're out there like, I love you guys. I'll be here next week. So happy. And, like, Avicii is a good example.
For instance,
he was like, I remember when he slit his wrists, I was like, holy fucking shit.
How long is it ago? Like 2 years now?
Probably, yeah.
That's crazy.
He was in Europe, right? I forget where. Sweden, I think.
He was from Sweden.
Yeah. Either way,
Sure.
I remember thinking, like, it's because he parties all the time.
Yeah.
Like, I go out and I do, like, sad songs about, like, my mom and stuff, and they're, like, emotional roller coasters for me. But, like...
Yeah, it's kind of like you try to work out with your experience.
But, like, that's what music is for me, though.
Yeah.
It is working out an
It's a
experience.
vehicle,
Like,
in that sense.
he's going out every night and doing the same experience over and over again, and it's all this one endless party experience, too.
It becomes his life, I guess.
Yeah, he identifies more with drugs and partying than he did like being a person, and that's probably how a lot of people saw him and treated him. And like, how does it feel when like you meet your idol and your idol just wants to take drugs with you and you're trying to fucking get clean? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like he's probably. I have a friend that had the chance to meet a rapper and he didn't do it because he was a drug addict, and if he did it, he probably would have relapsed.
Oh, wow. Did he ever tell you why he didn't do it?
Because he knew that that rapper was not clean, and he knew that he was not going to be clean if he went there. And some...
Yeah, I see that. I mean, like, if you every time experience the same kind of situation, it, like, make it a habit, and it's just, like, yeah, it's probably also some kind of subconscious, because, like, your habit is it, and you just, like, go always through the same program, just, like, go with the flow without even thinking about it. Maybe it was White not going there, I guess.
You just kind of, again, like I said, your own opinion is not the kind of thing you're going to be able to form.
Yeah.
So, like, if you wake up and you're depressed and you're feeling like shit, you feel like that, whether you have to go on stage and pretend you're not anyway. And, like, it becomes more like a struggle, like, and
It's like a second personality. It's like business just only.
Yeah.
Just focus on the performance.
Yeah, and that's and in this era it's getting like really weird because now we're seeing like the inability to separate art and who they are, because everybody is like an artist and a social media influencer.
Yeah, it's all at the same time. Like, you got no time to no free time off.
And we expect artists to be good people. We expect politicians to be good people, and when they're not,
they just have to constantly be a role model. I guess that puts them on a lot of pressure and stress.
And it's good and it's bad. It's bad in the sense that it's gonna hurt people like Avicii, and it's good in the sense that like it's gonna keep some racist celebrity from saying some racist shit to somebody.
Yeah.
Like it's public shaming. Like Monica Lewinsky got the blunt of that shit, and she didn't really deserve it. And then Bill Clinton doesn't.
Yeah.
Well, he does, and he does deserve it because he did it while he was married. You know, the whole nine. But like this 22-year-old girl, like think about that.
I mean, she got the whole blame. It was technically for him and strategically a good point, like putting the concentration like on another affair, not on himself.
Well, that's the thing. Bill Clinton had like protection. Like he had somebody that was filing all this, that was defending him. Lawyers and teams of lawyers defending his opinion.
Professional team.
Absolutely. He himself is a lawyer. Monica Lewinsky was 22 years old. Do you think that you would be capable of going through what the fuck she went through at 20? Like
I mean, we're at the same age nowadays. So
exactly. You're exactly.
Imagine it.
You're exactly the same age, and now you're like the most famous person in the fucking world.
Everyone knows you. Everyone already has an opinion about you, and you're not able to change it, I guess.
And it's not a good opinion. Like
No.
they're all talking shit, forever and ever.
It's interesting, but I mean, it was also different times. I think nowadays it would be even worse because like I don't think there's been social media on that.
No,
When
not
was
yet.
it?
Not at that point.
1999, something about that.
Something like that. I don't know. But either
I think nowadays it would be like even worse for her because she's like always, every time she looks at her phone, it's probably gonna be like hundreds of messages like telling her that she's a slut and stuff.
it would either be worse or it'd be better, because there would also be like the Me Too movement too would stand up for Monica Lewinsky.
True. She would have gainers. Okay.
That's the thing about social media. It's such a bipolar good and evil thing. Like
it's like a two-edged sword kind of.
You can use it to bully someone into submission, and you can use it to bully your congressman into passing laws that you want.
Yeah.
Like,
but I mean, just take like for the Hong Kong demonstrations, for instance. Like they're organizing them on social media.
Egypt.
Egypt. Arabian Spring. It's just like, that's a good side of it. People can like use it as a tool to like start a process, but they can also use it for the bad sides by bullying people, like threatening stuff.
It can be. It's definitely not a perfect system, but I don't know how we're ever going to be able to police it. Without
There's
just
no way to police it. I think
it's
without cutting off the freedom of the opinion.
It's gonna have to self-police. Like
that's basically the problem we had in Europe with Facebook and everything after the Cambridge Analytica scandal. Like it came out, they had to change the whole law because of that kind of a thing. That was maybe like the most triggering point I could imagine. Nowadays, wait a sec.
I think the biggest problem with data leaks and what Facebook is allowed to do and what it can't do, is like it gets hard to judge things. What's the difference between porn and art, for example?
Porn what?
Porn and art. Pornography and art. I
think it's the same kind of art. It depends of how you define art. I mean, art can technically be anything productive.
Yeah, exactly. And at that point, like, okay, so what about fucking?
It's just a question where you draw the border.
Where
how to draw the line.
And that's what it is. A lot of this is a lot of very impossible line drawing. Like you're like, I don't know. I don't fucking know. Maybe in this case scenario it's wrong, but it's good to do this, but then that also gives this guy the ability to do that, and it's a lot of confusion.
And the question is also like when to draw a border. Who is supposed to draw the border? Like, is it some kind of algorithm? Is it the normal person? Who's gonna pay for it if it's a normal person? The user, the government, Facebook itself? Who knows?
And like, what about blocking? Okay, should you be able to block somebody if they're harassing you?
Yeah.
What should Donald Trump be allowed to block somebody if they harass him?
I mean, you have to. Trump is probably hard to decide because you have to differentiate between him as the president and him as a private person.
But
I think for the private person should be allowed, but it makes the question again, what term are you a private person? Like if you're some kind of Instagram stuff like or Facebook stuff like 10 million followers maybe. Are you still a private person?
According, I guess in Germany you're not, right? Because no person can have that many friends.
I'm not sure though. I mean, it depends. That was in terms of advertising, like not like speaking your own opinion and stuff.
That's
like it's difficult. I'm not sure. I have to look that up, I guess.
Your own opinion is fucking very difficult to be throwing around on social media. It's a make or break you kind of thing, throwing around your own opinion.
Yeah, okay, that was probably the wrong term. Like
no,
sharing the life.
It is. Think Cardi B. Did you ever see that video where she's talking about taxes?
No.
Okay, well she's like, Uncle Sam, like, where is my money? Like, it's funny. It's a funny video. It's kind of interesting, but it is just like an honest to God question of how the fuck do taxes work in this country, because they are very complicated. And
taxes everywhere are very complicated, but I guess especially in the US because you have to pay like different kinds of taxes in terms of like going to the federal government,
and we have places that lobby and pay politicians to keep tax code difficult, so that you have to pay those third-party institutions to do your taxes for you.
That's ridiculous.
Yeah, it is. It's lobbying in this
kind of like a self-claimed business. Like they're just like pushing it artificially.
It's absolutely what it is. Yeah. And you see it across all boards in the industries, though. I mean, it only makes sense to hedge your own bets in the way of government, especially when government directly affects your finances. If this guy is gonna fucking pass a bill that's gonna ruin your financial institution, why would you not pay to support the other candidate?
Yeah, of course.
And that it breeds a corruption. It does. There used to be a limit on how much you could donate to funds in this country, but now there's not.
So you technically can
donate
like $1 billion if you want to.
Absolutely, yeah.
That's dangerous.
Absolutely.
But I mean, like technically, was Trump allowed to like fund his own campaign?
It's complicated. Yes, he did, but it's a loan, so he got it paid back by the Republican National Convention.
He has to pay it back himself.
No, the Republican Convention pays him back.
Oh, that's weird. That's a really weird rule.
It is essentially. I'm pretty sure, and this is not like something I should be quoted on, for the internet. I believe it went that Trump and other people are supposed to pay their own way based on donations for their own campaign.
Yeah.
And that's how they end up being front runners in their different states because they get funding. That's blah, 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 blah. And when you get the Republican vote, the Republican Party then backs your ticket, and you get the funding back.
Yeah.
I don't know how it works if you lose. Probably don't get the money back, I guess. Yeah, they take like a lot of people don't know that most of a politician's job in this country is to call and ask for donations. Like I've heard interviews with politicians.
Like members of the parliament, like, are they getting a normal wage? Like, are they being paid by the state?
Yeah, they are.
Oh, okay.
They get a wage, but they can get
because
more.
Otherwise, it would be even worse. Like, or better in terms of lobbyism.
Well, yeah,
they're more like a surface to like touch them.
I mean, you'd think that it would make the people less corrupt, but it's not. Even if you make $1 million a year and you get offered another 200,000, why would you not take it?
It's a lot of money.
It's a lot of money, and no matter how much money you're making, like, it's not like Jeff Bezos is sitting there like, wow, I've done it. I don't need any more money.
No,
because that's not going through his mind at all. No one who makes money thinks I'm done. No one's ever done.
Otherwise, the people wouldn't be rich themselves.
Yeah,
they could like donate the money or whatever.
I
guess it's just a normal human habit. I guess human trait.
At least a highly successful person trait is to like. I don't know if it's just capitalistic society, or if it's nature in general that breeds. Like, greed is a successful trait, but greed is definitely a trait that isn't successful people.
Yeah, but I mean, if you look like in terms of nature evolution, I think like greedy organisms are probably the one with higher survival rates.
Probably. I mean,
they're the ones who are always like trying to get the food.
They're hoarders. Mammals are pretty greedy in general. Insects, though, they dominate forests and they're not greedy. I think that's why they have like a long.
Like ants, for instance.
Ants
are. But I think ants are also greedy. Like the king, like the queen is greedy. The other ones are just like their slaves. Kind
They're hive connected though. Like that's a completely different mindset.
Okay.
That's like a perfect soldier. I'm not an expert either. I don't know everything about ants, but I picture them being like the ideal soldier that can't question. They don't really question what they're doing. I don't know. I've never been an ant. I've never had to question my existence as an ant, but.
Maybe they're just always listening to Nike slogan, just do it.
Just do it, yeah. Like they just do it. It seems like it. Like they're like, ants are perfectly capable of just dying. They'll kill 100 ants to get the hive to fucking survive. That's something that no human is really capable of. Well, I guess the Chernobyl people did that.
Maybe.
You have there are examples of heroism in society. I mean, no, those people definitely knew they were dying. I think, unless they just completely fucking lied to him. But how do you not know that that's gonna kill you?
That's the point. I think at this time people just didn't know. Like if you look at documentaries, there was actually like a new series about that.
The Chernobyl series on HBO.
It was pretty good.
It was really good. I liked it a lot.
Can recommend it. Like you could have tell that people just had no clue and no idea what was happening.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it could be the same nowadays. Who knows if like the signal waves of our phones might be dangerous on the long term. There's like no studies on it.
I know. I remember when they were making fun of Elizabeth Warren for saying that, and I was like, no, she's definitely pointing out some science that a phone company doesn't like. Like
then lobbying comes into the game.
Yeah, exactly. And like, okay, so let's say Jeff Bezos owns the Washington Post and Amazon owns the Washington Post.
Yeah.
For example.
He holds like more media.
Yeah,
sense, right?
He owns a lot of media. If he can't buy something, he makes his own. So if he either owns it or Amazon is it itself, like banks. Amazon couldn't buy banking, so it made itself a bank. That's just it's how they play the game. If they can't get it, they'll just make their own. They couldn't buy Netflix or Hulu.
So they're kind of like they're giving loans now. If they're a bank, so they're kind of doing like the car thing, like car loans, kind of. They're like giving their own funds so people can spend more money and give it back to them.
Correct.
That's good business, though.
It's fantastic business. It's actually what mining towns used to do in America. Is basically like, so
have one source of money and like try to get as much as money.
The entire town would
more people
attached
to it.
The entire town would be employed by one mine, right?
Yeah.
And then that mine would buy a store in town, and that would be the only store in town.
Yeah.
And it would stock everything. And if you needed something, that you could get it loaned to you from the store. And then it effectively created a slave system, basically, because people were working for products they already used.
Yeah, I see that. It's like kind of a trap.
Loans
At
are
some point you're just like stuck in the system.
Loans are a very, very shaky thing, and to an extent, yes, taking a loan is accepting that you are going to be stuck in this system for at least the duration of the loan. And loans in this country are not at a beautiful place.
You said it yourself once with the. Was it car loans or house loans?
The housing crisis was the thing
that the house loans.
that crashed our economy. But I would put money that cars are going to be up there, and it's not a pretty thing to say, but if I could invest in our economy being fucked, not to the same degree as housing, because housing doesn't take up, cars don't take up nearly the same portion of the economy, but it's definitely a significant enough portion to
get into a crisis.
To cause a crisis, absolutely.
Probably not a long-term one, but at least for like 1 year.
Yeah, but the thing about financial crises is they're fine usually unless they coincide with things like natural disasters.
Yeah, or like artificial crisis like the trade war with China from Trump, or like Brexit and everything.
Those are, I think artificial crises can be dealt with more easily than natural disasters, at least economically.
Yeah, I think that just depends on the setting and surroundings around, like in what kind of good circumstances you are in or not.
I think there's a lot of negative circumstance
at the moment. Absolutely.
Especially surrounding loans. Everyone in this country is basically, you can't build credit unless you get a loan. Any kind of loan, and it's expected to be a student loan.
Do you know what the interest rate is at the moment for loans?
I can Google it.
Is it positive? Because in Europe, like, it's been almost a decade, I think, where it's like almost no interest rates. I think actually like our usual interest rate at the moment, stated by the federal bank, is like actually a negative one. It's like minus 2% maybe.
Okay, so
it's always cheaper to loan money.
Average interest rate by lender. Interest rates on unsecured personal loans typically range between 5 and 36%. Holy shit.
5 to 36.
Yeah.
36.
36.
Fuck, that's a lot.
That's crazy. That's more than a quarter
Who takes
of
such a loan, bro? Could
you imagine taking out a housing loan and having to pay back over a quarter of it?
No, I mean, you would be stupid to sign such a contract.
But that's the thing, though. That's what they're banking on, is stupid people. What
are they thinking, signing such a contract?
They're called predatory loans, is what it is, and it's not. It's wrong to call these people stupid, because it's a salesman that's.
It's just naive.
They're being played, exactly. It's like that. Okay, so here's a quick story of something that happened to us in fucking New York. We went to this ice cream truck. It was really late at night. And I went up to this guy, and I was like, yeah, can we get 2 ice cream cones? And he's like, yeah, sure. He does the whole thing, hands them to us. You know, they're decent-sized cones. And then I'm like, all right. And he's like, $20. And it's already in my hand. I licked it once, and I was like, oh, my fucking God.
It just ripped us off.
I looked at the sign. There's no sign on how much all this stuff is supposed to cost. And I was like, he just fucking beat me for a $20 ice cream cone. And that's what's happening to all these people. Their housing, their business, their college.
But I mean, there was some price tags on the car where we got the ice cream from, though.
Yeah.
I mean, like in the loan contract, that should be obvious how much interest rates you're paying. I mean, is it? It can't be legal. Come on, it can't be legal to put that.
It's
like
legal.
on the sublines.
It's legal.
Like in the small print. Small print, I think is the term.
Yeah, in the fine print. Yeah, it's called predatory loans. It's completely legal. And it's
just America, I guess.
It's what caused the housing crisis. Basically, is a lot of people that didn't understand loans, and it wasn't stupid people. And
I mean, it's just stupid to give out so many like rotten. Can you call them like rotten loans?
Bad loans, predatory
like
is
they're not like secured by something behind, so it's just like give them kind of money and just like falls into a hole.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. No, it creates a deficit.
Exactly.
It's creating a deficit exactly. And the fact is, most financial institutions don't care about creating a deficit because they're getting paid some way anyway. Like,
yeah, at least like as long as they get the money in the end, they don't. Really
here's
care.
what really happens. Okay, so let's say you go to college in America, and you get a loan for $50,000. You have to pay back that loan in 10 years, 20 years. I don't know.
Yeah, probably. Maybe even for the rest of your life, depending on how.
Yeah, depending on the loan, exactly. Some people, most companies actually, they don't want that. They don't give a fuck about your loan. The government does this too. They'll sell taxes to these companies. You can start an LLC that buys debt.
Okay.
And your job is to just collect it.
Yeah, but we have got the same in Germany as well, to be honest.
That system is fucked. That's where this whole problem is.
I always wonder how they really get the money in the end. Like, are it just like sending out like not hitman, like bad guys?
That's what happened with my mom, because we lost I couldn't pay anything because of legal circumstances surrounding her death and her not having a will and blah 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 blah. And this guy came and just started taking pictures of my house one day.
Randomly.
And I came out and I was like, "What the fuck are you doing, dude?" And he was like, he said, "I work for the people that own this house." And I was like, "I own this house." And he was like, "No, the taxes got sold to this guy who did this and blah 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 blah." And it all got taken care of because of my lawyers and shit.
Yeah.
But this company like straight up just fucking bought my house for fucking God knows how much money because of the taxes. And that's
ridiculous that something like that can be legal.
And they're doing it with student loan debt. They'll do it with car loans, and they're banking on the fact that these loans aren't going to work and that they're going to get money and then default too. That's what it is. Is they're not actually expecting people to pay these back. They're expecting them to default.
You know what's ironic? If people back onto this business and try to want to get a crisis coming, and no crisis comes, if too many people speculate on it, they make a crisis themselves. Isn't that ridiculous?
Yeah, it is. I mean, it seems like a crisis. I mean, you look at... What do you think when you've met all of my friends in America, in the United States? Not to disrespect anybody, how do you think the financial job situation is in this country?
Difficult, I would say.
Why?
Because it looks like there's no... how do I put that right? It looks like there's no higher qualified jobs kind of around. There's like not enough job hours. It's like basically only focused on like easy work from what I can tell. Like in terms of serving or groceries, like supermarkets and stuff.
Things
like
that aren't upwardly.
Like easy stuff.
Yeah. It really, it's very difficult to find a job in this country. I have several friends with good degrees. Good degrees from good schools that don't have jobs.
You just have to move to the big city in order to be able to have a chance.
Nick
to get something.
Nick did, for
then
example.
You have to be lucky, yeah.
Like
just
Nick is a good example. Nick is lucky and Nick is super intelligent too. You know how smart Nick is.
He is smart, absolutely.
And most people aren't that fortunate, to be honest. And most people aren't capable of living the way Nick does. Nick does live on a budget, and
he's still able to enjoy himself.
He does enjoy himself. He's happy, I guess. Well, besides when he's not, I guess. But
he's a good guy.
He's a great guy. I love Nick. But I wonder like how lucky he is, or if he's like if because he's in computers, and computers is a field to be in. Like it's
never the brush of the industry.
It's everybody's idea is like get into computers, or do something with computers. Like if you can link your career to technology, you're probably going to have a career in the future. You know, moving forward, that's how things are going to work. And okay, what about underskilled work, for example? Like take the drivers.
I don't know. Like I haven't seen too much of like being around it. Just like seen the places show me around, which is like not really economical places, workplaces, I guess you would. But I don't know. It feels like there's like no huge like factories around, kind of. Like
Amazon.
I know it from my area that there's like car builders. Like there's a big Mercedes-Benz plant like 50 miles maybe away from the place I used to live, and people just like always go and work at those companies or like at the companies who like work for them, and it feels like people here are just like doing their simple work, like going serving or being a cook, for instance.
I mean, my friend has her teaching degree. She can't teach. I have another friend with a teaching degree. He can't teach. Unions. A couple of the
kind of sounds like a little bit like South Europe. Like people are getting their degrees and everything, but people are not being able to find a working place in the end after they've finished like the whole education process.
That's like the running joke in America, is that there's like,
I think it's always funny to see like those memes when you apply for a job and they tell you need 10 years of experience, but we also look for like 18-year-old person.
Yeah, no, and that's exactly how it is. They want a person that's in the field that they really they don't want.
Yeah.
Like they're not looking to hire someone that they can teach. They told my girlfriend that when she was interning.
Yeah.
Like they didn't want.
I guess that's the problem of capitalism, just that they're too focused on like the short term and not on like the long term and flowering kind of.
Yeah. I don't know if that's a capitalism problem or if it's an individual problem.
Might be both. I don't know. I've never lived in like a not capitalist system.
Me either. So.
I mean, it's just because you focus on like the short term win, so you're not really bothered by the long term. I guess that's how you create such situations.
Yeah, it definitely proves problematic. What was I gonna say?
What was it?
I lost my train of thought. Anyway, let's move on to a topic. What do you think is the biggest difference between the United States and Germany? I'll be back in 1 second. I gotta do something.
Alright, so I think there's a lot of things that are really different. Like take the understanding of freedom, for instance. Like America's really special, I think, in those terms, because they're like, it's like you've got so much freedom at the one side, like you're allowed to shoot guns or like drive around at like 14. You can mind your own business. You are also, you can do whatever you want basically. On the other side, it's like you can't really. If you're walking around the school, I remember one incident, and the guy had, I think, a shirt of Guns N' Roses on. There was obviously, because it's Guns N' Roses, a pistol on the shirt, and he wasn't allowed to wear that. I'm not sure why. Maybe it was because
because the gun.
Because of censorship. Like that's the other side of the extreme. So we've got like this extreme freedom on the one side, where you're allowed to do whatever you want, whatever you say. I mean, you can even basically say that, I don't know. You can basically have any ideology here in this country.
Absolutely.
You can say whatever you want, as long as you're like not insulting other people.
No, you can.
That is possible.
You can insult people. Trump. Yeah, you can definitely insult people.
So yeah, it's like
you're not allowed to.
There's no red line in the middle, kind of. It's like so diverse in both extreme ends.
It to some extent it's stupid to me. Like
it's hard for a foreigner to understand this concept, but I think it's just a part also of this extreme freedom.
We don't understand it. None of us understand it, and most of us. I think the popular opinion in this country is an extreme freedom popular opinion. Like if
Yeah.
we had if our votes we voted directly on policy, for example, I think pot would be legal. I think guns would be legal. I think a lot that fireworks would be legal. Like
Probably.
this country doesn't give a shit.
Usually it's like always the question, it's either freedom or security. Like that's always the question.
Well,
Let's ask in
how
Europe
much
at
are you
least.
willing to trade for freedom and security? Like airports are a good example of that.
For instance, yeah, like with all the security screenings and everything, that's like those nude scanners where you have to like stand in front,
Mhm.
hold your arms up, and like circles around you. It's a big question. Are you willing to show like your nude body just in order to be like safe on a plane? I remember there was a big discussion when they invented those screens.
And it's pretty serious. I mean, and
It's a serious topic, yeah.
what about radiation? What if those things actually cause some kind of problem? I've thought of that too. You know what I mean?
Oh, I never thought about that.
Because they don't let pregnant women in those things.
It's probably like, I'm not sure what technique they use. Is it like the ones doctors use if you got like a broken leg, for instance, a broken bone?
Maybe X-rays.
X-rays, that's the one. But
Maybe.
sure.
I don't know.
No physician.
Yeah, exactly. Like, we don't know radiation. We don't know what the fuck radiation does.
It's basically like the same point when Chernobyl. You're just like handing around with the technology you're not fully aware of possible long-term risk.
And the only thing that we definitely know that it does is it scans people's bodies, and it can tell us if there's cocaine or something. And like, at what point is it more dangerous to have radiation fucking scanning every person in an airport than it is to have drugs imported into a country?
As long as every individual has to go through that security process, that affects everyone kind of, at least the ones who are in the airport, and drugs on the other hand. I mean, it also affects society. I mean, in a different way though.
Yeah, I have an unpopular opinion about drugs, but the whole concept of fucking we trade a lot of freedom for the illusion of safety. You're not really safe. You're not really gonna be safe on a fucking plane. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but I mean that's life. There's no guarantee to be always safe.
That's what I'm saying though. Like,
I mean, you can get out of your house, be like hit by an asteroid if you're really unlucky.
and it doesn't
You
mean
just
cars
never
should be
know.
illegal. It doesn't mean cars should be illegal. Like,
No.
people die. It does mean you should regulate cars. It does mean cars should have seatbelts. It does mean
Absolutely.
there should be driving laws.
There should be certain rules.
That's fine. Regulation is fine. Completely stopping anything, I don't think fucking really is gonna help.
No, but that would also like again decline the freedom of people,
Yeah,
cutting off their options.
people like options. People like freedom, and they will go out of their way to show and flaunt their freedom. I
They
hate.
will go a long
I
way for
hate.
that.
I don't like these fucking trucks that fucking spew the extra CO2 into the fucking highway.
Yeah, there was this one guy I think it was on the way after he went back from Knoebels from the amusement park.
Mhm.
Man, that guy made me mad.
It
He was
it's
like driving around in this accelerator. It's like pushing out so much gas, so much smoke.
that's
It
not
was
necessary.
completely unnecessary. It was like smoking the whole fucking road.
To like that is just be like at that point it's just being a fucking dick. It's doing something for the sake of being an asshole,
Yeah.
and that's not fucking right. When something takes away the rights of other people, like clean air, for example,
Yeah.
like that's why I'm okay with not being able to smoke in parks. I think there should be smoking areas in parks, but I don't necessarily think you should just be allowed to light up in a fucking park because it takes away the rights of other people's clean air. Like,
Yeah.
like there's a saying from a guy that I fucking can't stand actually that says, "My rights." Or your rights stop where my face begins.
Yeah.
Or the rights of your fist stop where my face begins. And that makes a lot of sense. You can fucking throw your hands around and fucking shoot your gun and do all that shit all the time. The problem is when you start acting like a fucking asshole with it.
Yeah.
Like,
try threaten other people, like bother their freedom, kind of.
yeah, when you take away someone
Their
else's freedom,
existence.
it's a problem. And threatening to take away someone else's freedom is taking away someone else's freedom.
Yeah, I guess it just depends. They should be free to do whatever the fuck you want, as long as you like don't bother that freedom zone of other people.
Yeah.
But it's hard to say. I guess it's always what the fight is about. When to draw that line, like when are you bothered by something else? Like, is it already the small? Is it, I don't know, if I go and punch you in the face, obviously you would be bothered. So,
Mm-hmm.
but other people wouldn't be bothered. Maybe if you like you like
Getting beat up.
getting beat up. What's that?
BDSM.
fetish called? BDSM, exactly. Maybe
Yeah.
like BDSM.
I mean,
It's
yeah,
alright.
yeah, exactly. That's fine. If you like getting beat up, there's absolutely should never be a law that says you can't get your ass beat by somebody else. Like that's stupid. I think that's dumb. If your consent is key. It's the difference between sex is always fine. Rape is never fine. That's why that's the
law,
difference.
That's the new law. I think it was somewhere in Scandinavia. I think in Sweden, where you're only allowed to have sex if like both verbally or physically. No, I think it's actually verbally only say yes. So there's like a lot of there's been a lot of questionable situations with possible rape because there was no real yes saying, just like doing. It's also again a question. When to draw the
Yeah.
line? Is that
I
already
mean-
too far? Do we have to say all the time, yes, I want to?
To an extent, though, like, let's be real. It's better to have fucking people have to verbally conform than it was to just when it was men just walking up and grabbing fucking
Yeah,
women
of
and
course,
shit.
no, that shouldn't be the case.
Like-
obviously, no.
like
it
it-
should be agreeable with both parties.
Like, people aren't, like, I read actually that people are having less sex now than they practically ever have in history
Why is that?
because of internet, because of work, because of
It's just too busy.
too
constantly.
busy. Yeah, exactly. People are leading completely different lives than they were. People are getting human interaction in other ways than fucking.
True.
And
Nowadays you can get all of that on the internet. without
exactly.
leaving the house.
Yeah, and you can and again, like, it's got benefits. Like, you can safely explore sexuality, for example. You can be in BDSM. You can watch somebody else get beat up first before you go
Have a
out
slow
before you
start.
go out and get hurt. Yeah, exactly. Like, that's good. That's really good. I think that's fucking
That's
good.
a benefit.
And I think that should be part of sex ed too. I think they should sit down with kids and they should be like, look, some of you are fucking weird. Some of you are gonna like weird shit. Some of you are gay. Some of you are straight and like butt stuff.
Oh,
So,
I'm
like,
sure a lot of people would fight you on that now.
fuck them. That's my point though, because those people aren't helping the fucking kids in there that are actually those kids are gonna fuck something.
But I'm sure there's gonna be a lot of people saying that if you tell that students or children at a young age, that it will make them especially become to that person you're warning them about.
I don't think that's the case. Like,
I don't see that either, but I think there's a lot of people who probably bring that argument.
but there's a lot of evidence that shows the opposite. That kids there's evidence. I think it was done at Cornell, they interviewed parents that talked openly about sex in the household and parents that had a really conservative like take on sex.
Yeah.
And the kids of the conservative families usually had the weirder sexual fetishes because they were forced to repress all of their sexual nature.
I see that, yeah.
Like being open sexually actually leads to people being more normal sexually. Not always. I'm sure it's not an across the board thing because it's a lot of things that go into sexuality.
Yeah.
Like, part of it's hormonal, part of it's environmental, part of it is, whatever. But
I think if you never get to live out the situation or that aim, that will that you have inside of you, it might be hard if you really get into a situation one day. Like, really live it through if you just always been picturing it. Like, might have like completely weird expectations, like, that are completely not the case.
Oh, that's definitely a thing. That's something that should be talked about in like sex ed too, is that porn is not a realistic sexual expectation.
Yeah.
At all. You should not expect to fucking come on a girl's face. And if you want to, you should ask her. Like, that's the point. Some of you are fucking cool with that. There's nothing wrong with being cool with that. The
No.
problem is doing it without being fucking asked.
True.
And expecting things. And that's what needs to be deterred.
It's communication between
Yeah,
parties.
exactly. There's nothing wrong with being fucking weird. There is something wrong with being weird without somebody else's permission.
Yeah, I feel like force them to be your weird object.
And talking about it is the only way that you're ever gonna find middle ground.
Yeah,
if you have to be complete, like, first you're gonna be honest with yourself, then you can be honest with somebody else, and then you can actually fucking get out of your own way and get what you want in life.
Yeah, but I mean, it's a hard way to get there.
Oh, absolutely.
First, to be honest with yourself. A lot of people have difficulties to do that.
And again, part of it is environmental. Like, some people will never be able to be honest with themselves because they have to be honest with their parents.
Yeah.
And that's fucking a problem. And it can lead to dangerous behavior. Let's say a kid thinks he's going to get disowned for being gay, right? But he wants to experiment sexually. So he meets up with some guy that he's never met before on the internet, and he doesn't tell anybody because he doesn't want them to know.
Oh, yeah.
He disappears. That definitely possibly happened. Probably.
That definitely has happened. I'm pretty sure.
And it's dangerous. That's when dangerous behavior comes. When you don't tell people that. When, like, again, maybe you'd be surprised how many people go to the hospital every year for jamming something stuck up their ass. Right?
I'm pretty sure medicine people have seen a lot of those incidents.
And that's the point, though. If those people were able to talk openly in a group, that someone would be like, not the light bulb. Try the cucumber. Like, you can gear people in the right direction. You can fucking do this safely. And that's what the California BDSM club that we saw in that fucking documentary.
Yeah.
Like, it was a safe place for people to go get beat the fuck up safely.
In a controlled environment.
And that's it. You shot a gun in a controlled environment.
That was a nice feeling.
Yeah. Okay. So your opinion on gun control now that you shot, what was it?
I think guns should be controlled. I think you shouldn't be just able to buy a gun, to be honest.
Okay. Not a popular opinion in this country.
I know. It's probably definitely not a popular opinion, and I think there should be like scans on people, so no, like at least scans on people, so there's like no terrorists or whatever, any violent people getting there.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
so where would you draw the line as far as gun ownership in this country, or in any country? I guess
to be realistic, I think it would be almost impossible to like completely cut off the Second Amendment.
No.
So you should like make a compromise, but I know that Americans hate compromises because it's not a complete win, only like a half win. That's not a real win.
Compromises in this country don't tend to work great. No,
I think
historically,
I think I would just like build up some kind of control about it. So like, every person's like forced to register their weapon. So that you first of all know how many weapons there actually are in total, and I think it should be like controlled that not everybody can buy one.
You're never gonna get everybody to register their guns. A lot of the people that own the guns are the ones that don't like the government, and it's actually
fight the government if they come.
It's actually a really remarkable thing because it's only the two furthest spectrums on the political side that are really for gun control. It is like, for lack of a better word, African American communities that like guns a lot because they feel that they're safe against police, their protection.
Yeah.
And white American communities that feel that their lifestyle is also threatened by outsiders, so they need to protect themselves as well.
Yeah.
But like all of this, and I don't like, and this.
I mean, it all starts because there's weapons available. If there would be no weapons available, people wouldn't start getting them up to feel more secure.
I think that people are fucking afraid of each other. That's the thing.
Very afraid. That's the first reason why why there are weapons.
It's a lot of people are afraid, and you know everybody's got enemies, but if you've got the kind of enemies that are fucking coming into your fucking door to fucking kill you, you need an automatic weapon for protection. I think you have a fucking big problem. I think you're affiliated with like the Mexican mafia or something.
Man, it's gonna be difficult.
Yeah, I get it. I get why they need AK-47s.
I see that. It's the problem that they're on the market, that they're out. If there would be no guns, I think there wouldn't be a thing like that.
The argument is that they would get criminal guns. Criminal markets.
Yeah, that's the thing. Once they're out on the market. That's why you need to register them to like have an overview. But that's gonna be impossible. You need to be realistic on that.
Canada did it, but I don't think the United States would go for it. Personally, I don't. You're never gonna get them to take their guns, and it's gonna be really hard to get them to register them. But I think
But I would rather register than like completely take them off.
I think fair to a certain point is to draw a line, and every gun purchased after X amount of date is registered.
Yeah.
Cars are. Why aren't guns? Phones have. Okay, here's
like code on the back.
Yeah, have a fingerprint scan.
Just still have, yeah.
Yeah, if you put that on a gun, then all of a sudden Junior can't take the gun and shoot himself.
Yeah, actually, I read about that. That would be a really good invention, though.
That one step, boom, check, regulated. That's the seatbelt.
Yeah.
All right, that's the seatbelt in car. You don't ban the car. You put a seatbelt in it. That's what we're doing. We're putting seatbelts in guns.
That would be very progressive, very innovative.
For hunting. These are for hunters. This is for the purpose of anybody that wants to get an AK-47 can still get it. It's registered now, and it's got a fucking safety. And now here's where it's going to get really complicated. I had a conversation with a friend, and he's very conservative.
Yeah.
And I pitched the fingerprint thing, and he was like, "No, that's a good idea. That's not terrible. I think that's fair." And I was like, "Okay, what about hacking remotely?" Okay? So let's say
hacking what?
hacking a gun remotely.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So let's say I snap.
Yeah.
And I go into a school with an AK-47. I line the kids up. What if a cop could hack it from outside, flip the switch, turn my gun off, boom, can't shoot?
Yeah, but then you also have it would be a good thing, but then it's the question how to control that.
Well,
I mean, there's always going to be people who can do that instead of the police, who are like able to hack instead of
and turn it back on.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, but cars can do it, and you don't see cars being hacked all the time.
You can hack a car?
Yeah, you can definitely hack a car.
I've seen that in movies, but I always thought it was like fake.
No, the U.S. government actually has a patent on a remote hacking thing that locks brakes and fucking shit like that.
That sounds like some Black Mirror shit, though.
It's Black Mirror as fuck. It really is. And what's crazy is like the president's car is like immune to it. Like it can't be hacked remotely. Well, any car after
technically
any car with a computer. So after a certain year, they can be hacked remotely. And you can do things.
Question when they first got computers in.
It's not. It's recent. It's not like.
Do you remember my old car?
Mm-hmm.
It was like it was from '97. I think was as old as me. I'm not sure if that one had a car. I had a computer inside.
Let me see. When?
Probably like mid 2000s, earliest, I reckon.
Wow.
What does the internet say?
Controlled fuel injection by computer became mainstream in the late 70s, mid 80s.
What? Wow.
Yeah. So basically you couldn't stop the brakes and stuff like that like you can today.
Yeah.
But you could turn the car off. So basically that's almost every car on the market at this point.
That would have made the O.J. Simpson one a completely different one, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing, is it has to be super difficult to do. Like, it has to be almost impossible to do it.
Yeah.
Like, because hacking...
Yeah, otherwise it would be, like, a huge weapon to be able to...
Hacking into something is a very difficult thing. But putting a back door in something so that police can turn something off would be different. Like, Apple, for example, is never going to do that. But if you make a gun manufacturer do it, they will. And I don't know to what extent that's a weird... It opens a weird door. Can the government make Apple unlock our phones? Should they be allowed to? For example, I can't get access to my mom's phone.
Yeah. And no one's probably allowed to give you any data on it, right?
No information at all. So... I don't know. What the fuck am I supposed to do? Nothing, I guess.
Probably nothing.
So, what if... I don't know. To an extent, like... Do you want someone in your phone when you die? Like, what if it's a terrorist? Like, what if it's that, like, the fucking guy that,
I think that depends on the will. Like, if they've got a will.
The Boston bomber. That's it. His
What
phone.
Did you say?
They wanted the messages in his phone, and they fucking spent months, the FBI, trying to get Apple to give them permission to hack it.
Yeah.
And Apple was like, no. Like, this is where we're drawing the line. Like, we don't have to cooperate. And they just didn't.
Yeah, I mean... It makes sense that they're doing it. I mean, you as a customer wouldn't want Apple to give out their data
to the government.
It's just that it's terrorist.
I mean, it to an extent, that's where the line usually goes to, is pedophiles and terrorists. Like, Martin Luther King, his quote, laws are designed to defend the lawful, not to govern the lawless.
Yeah.
Because when you pass a
Yeah,
law,
that's a good sentence.
when you pass a law, it's never going to stop a criminal from killing somebody, but it will protect somebody's rights being taken away after. Yeah, I know. That is about the time, though.
Yeah.
Is that we didn't talk about much of the trip, but we talked about a lot of stuff.
Yeah, we didn't. But it was fun though.
It was definitely fun. Is there anything you would like to say to the world to America and everybody else before we sign off?
Well, I guess thank you, America, for having me already for the third time. It's been some pleasant, really awesome 3 weeks. I'm wishing to come back. I'm not really feeling like I want to go home.
Back to law school.
Back to law school.
Back to
normal
work.
life. But yeah, it was good weeks. Looking forward coming for the next time.
All right. Well, this
Thank you.
is us signing out. Thank you all for
Alright,
taking the
guys.
time to listen. Like, share, subscribe, all that fucking nonsense. I love you guys.
Have a good one, guys.
Peace.